Hey, Blue Table fans! Yeah, it's been a while. I just haven't felt like it. But here I am with some topics to talk about. So at the studio, by the way, everything's running smoothly. Packages are getting packed. Got projects coming in. You can see it on my, I post on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. And so I went on my Facebook page, my personal one. And by the way, we can be Facebook friends if you'd like. But I do ask, because I get a lot of requests, right? And a lot of them are from, let's call them randos. So please send me a little message too, like, hey, I play miniatures battles. Anything like that. I'm a Blue Table fan. That way I know it's not just, you know, just person random. All right, so Chad V gives me 3 topics to talk about: endless spells, rare minis, and 3D printing. By the way, I could go the whole time on this, but I have like 20 more things to cover. Endless spells, I love them. They're great. They add something to the game. I actually own a set that I had painted up. We kind of all pitched in and got them done. And I use them in my Dungeons & Dragons game. So they're really cool. They come out with them for different armies. So like when they put out, say, Sylvaneth, they have Sylvaneth endless spells, usually 3 models that when you cast them, you actually get a model on the board, which I think it's so awesome. I'm using that concept in the role-playing game that I'm creating. Okay, so I like them. And it gives Games Workshop sort of something extra to sell you. Like, even if you already own this army, by the way, here's something new that you can buy and paint up, which is good, because if they didn't do that, it would be pretty boring, wouldn't it? The next one is rare minis. Now, I assume these are like limited... Hold on a second, I gotta grab a water bottle. I assume that means like the ones that are limited edition, like Games Day 2019, they put out this model, and then people are selling it for, you know, $75, $100, $200, and like the one for Warhammer TV that came out, the Vindicare Assassin. So good. Dasani should send me a check, by the way, for plug promoting. This Dasani is so good. All right, so anyway, rare minis. I think it's cool. The only thing I object to is when a person tries, like, buys up a bunch of whatever it is in the attempt to drive up scarcity and then resell it back. That's pretty lame. That's bad acting. But if you happen to have, and you're a private individual and you're like, yeah, I'm not going to paint this, and you sell it for an elevated price because it's rare, well, I think that's okay. Hello? Oh. All right, anyway. Oh, hello. So, do you need to get by? Okay, go ahead. Oh, you need this. Yeah. All right, so anyway, 3D printing is Chad V's 3rd thing. I love 3D printing. I bought a couple 3D printers. I didn't really figure out how to do it, so I ended up trading them off. But I think it's really cool. I do buy figures off of Etsy for fun. In fact, let me show you one that I just have right here. And this is what I do in my very limited spare time. So this is like a 3-headed Hydra creature. And I enjoy it so much, just painting them up. But one day I hope to have a wonderful studio with a large room. So not only a studio, but a studio with a large room where I can put all of my miniatures up in cases. Not glass cases. I've decided to go with shelving instead. Do you need to get back through? Hello? Not yet. Okay. All right, so anyway, so 3D printing's cool. I'm waiting for color 3D printing to come and basically just put me out of business wretchedly. All right, Stefano G asks about Mordheim. So Mordheim is a skirmish game based in this ruined medieval city named Mordheim. It's really cool. It's hard to find now. I don't think they've redone it. What has Games Workshop done with Warhammer Skirmish? I can't remember. Oh, they're doing Warcry is what that is. So anyway, Mordheim was really cool. You'd use models from existing ranges and you would do little skirmish battles. It's a cool, fun game. And that actually grew out of Warhammer Skirmish, where you would just have single figures. You'd have a few figures and kind of fight them in whatever the scenery was. And that came out in 2003, 2004, right about the time I was starting blue table painting. By the way, blue table painting's been around a long time, and I'm still going. Sometimes people are like, "You're still here?" I'm like, "Yup, still going." And yeah, putting out probably 2 or 3 projects a week, and I mean, just chugging away. All right, so my opinion on Mordheim, it's cool. And there is a game called Frostgrave, which looks like, and that's like old school. They have like metal miniatures, and the sculpts kind of are reminiscent of like 20 or 30 years ago. And that game looks pretty cool. Really a simplified version of Dungeons and Dragons. And a lot of times when I play games like that, like we were playing Gloomhaven, which by the way is kind of a subset of Mordheim and has that same kind of title system. Mordheim, Gloomhaven. Anyway, we started playing that, and we got through one snare. We were like, why aren't we just playing Dungeons and Dragons? Why don't we just play a role-playing game? And I think because it's hard to be a DM. And by the way, I'm an awesome DM, and I have a lot of fun doing it. Okay, so Frank S. says Warhammer. I don't know what to do with that. Warhammer. So Warhammer is typically Warhammer Fantasy, and I'm looking forward to them reinventing the old world. So they have Warhammer 40K, and then they did Horus Heresy, which is kind of like an old school, kind of has that old feel to it of like 4th edition, the year 2010. And then, so I think that's what's going to happen with Age of Sigmar, is they're going to go back to Warhammer Fantasy and just create this version, this old school version. It's tough though. Will they cannibalize their existing lines? Man, I think Games Workshop does a good job, and because I've seen them evolve from an age where they didn't know really if they were going to make it, and there were some pretty heavy competitors. Back in 1998, I had a game shop. 98, by the way. I had a game shop. You can come through if you like. Okay. And so they had a, oh man. Oh, so I had a game shop in Medford, Oregon named Invincible War Games. And if I had it to do over again, I call it Invincible Games. And recently I've been back in Medford looking, not looking, but visiting relatives. And I was looking at local game shops, and I got to tell you, they vastly improved in the interim. Like, I couldn't go back there and open a game shop because it would be probably pathetic compared to whatever. You know what would be the peanut butter and chocolate of life? Would be if I were to partner with a regular local game shop. And I think I would love that, because I would really bring something wonderful by having my company working in tandem with a game shop. Okay, so Warhammer, there you go. I think Warhammer Old World is going to be a thing. Oh, I was talking about my game shop back. Oh, why did I? Oh yeah, I got frustrated with my GW rep because he was so pushy, and that I got rid of Warhammer and Warhammer 40K entirely, and I was going to push Chronopia. Like, I'm like, this is the one I'm getting on board with. So I don't know. I think I'm usually on the losing side of things. Okay, so okay, Michael W asks for more Warhammer 40K bat reps. Okay, but here's what's going to happen. I need at least 20 people to comment and like this video to do a 40K bat rep. How about that? Yeah, so give me some support, guys, and I'll do one. Okay, Lathan M asks about one-page rules. So this, I just asked for topics, right? How am I doing for time? Should I be leaving now? I got like 5 more minutes, right? All right, I have no idea what that is. Okay, Danny C says gas prices. Oh, brother. So I'm sorry, but I can't talk about this, plus have a comments section. I ask that you not comment on this. I regret even saying it, but I don't want to edit the video. Maybe I'll talk about this in a separate video. But it's a loaded question, and I think it has to do with inflation, which is something that I think should be on all of our minds right now. Okay, Ren F says roughly that I should get sponsors and start reviewing their products. Awesome. Who is it? Let's do it. I'll review your thing. So I have a standard brag for swag agreement, and it works like this. You send me some stuff, and I will make a positive review. Now, if I look at your stuff, and I don't think it's really that great, I'll not make the review, and I'll simply give you some suggestions privately. But that's really rare. I've only had that happen one time. I'm an expert at finding good things about something. Isn't that right? Yeah, it is true, she says. Okay, so, all right, so sponsors. Yeah, so I'm ready. Brag for swag, let's do it. The last one I got was Doom Ray Designs. And those guys were awesome, and I'm actually still doing something with their MDF printed stuff. By the way, my camera battery might conk out at some point in time. Maxime S asks about Traveler. Don't know much about it. It's an old school, hard sci-fi game. I actually did go through an adventure with a friend of mine in 1982 out at his parents' trailer in, I'm talking like, the backwoods of Oregon. And it was fun. It has a good feel. You'll never get that nostalgia back. But of course, nowadays, I'm like, no, now is the time. I always tell my kids, now is the time, today is the day to enjoy yourself. And these are the good times that you're going to look back on and wish you could go back. And, you know, because once your dad is dead, that's it. You can't spend one more minute with him. So enjoy the time, make some memories, take some pictures, and you know what? Even when those times are gone, guess what? There's now new times that are happening now. The greatest generation, you know who it is? It's the one that's living right now. The young people, right, the teenagers and 20-somethings of right now, they're the ones that are living, making up their rules and doing their thing, and I think it's really great. You go. All right, Rob says, tips for getting into D&D. Okay, I'm going to change this topic, and I'm going to change it to getting a group. So if you, okay, getting into D&D. Yeah, you've got to go to local shops, look for advertisements. You have to look at yourself. Are you, are you getting along? Sometimes people are like, no group will have me. They're terrible. No, you're terrible. There's a reason why they don't want you. And so that's a good chance for self-examination. And by the way, that's a good example for Sean Gately too. I'm trying to say less, and not being very successful, I might say so. All right, so tips for getting into D&D is just look for a group and ask if you can join. Tell them you're new. Groups are really usually very good with new players. But to start a group, you got to start somewhere, and you get some people to come. Oh, so my tips for getting a group together and to stick and to be regulars, that's tough. And I have it. I have 2 groups that show up every week religiously. They will not skip. And they're professionals. They got families. They got stuff going on. And I'm eating up premium time Friday nights, Saturday nights. And so the key is you have to be consistent. You must be consistent. You may not, if you're the DM or GM or whatever, you cannot cancel. You have to be ironclad. And that means if someone says, hey, do you want to go do whatever on Saturday? The answer is, I'm sorry, I can't. I have a previous engagement. That engagement is your D&D game, and it's every week without fail. You must go. And If somebody dies and the funeral is that day and time, you better just Zoom meeting in from the funeral and run that game. So for me, I always show up. If no players show up, I still go and I do game prep and I make a video of me there and I talk about the game a little bit. Maybe I do a recap, put it on YouTube, make sure they get it, and you've got to do it. And eventually they'll start snowballing up and you'll have a game that has a good reputation, and it takes a ton of effort to actually run a game. And as far as paid DMing, I'm all for it. You should, unless it's for love and for your friends, you should be getting paid for it because the prep is enormous. Like, I do at least an hour for prep. 3-hour game, it takes me about 3 hours to get everything set up. And to actually be good at running it and be descriptive and be practiced. All right, William T., by the way, the video camera's about to cut out, says, how to begin playing 40K. Boy, that's a whole video. You know, I'm going to mark that as a separate video. What makes a good conversion? You know what? I'm going to leave these off and just do another video. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you got your inspiration for the day. And also, I have 2 slots open for projects, and me and my crew would love to have you. I'm ready for anything large or small, and I'm here. I stuck with it, guys. It was January 1st, 2004 I started this. Yeah.